You're watching live coverage from the CBT News Stage at the 2024 NADA Show in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick at the CBT News Stage out here at the 2024 NADA Convention in Vegas. And we are having an incredible convention. Erin Kerrigan, who's founder and managing director of Kerrigan Advisors. You know this young lady. She's all over retail automotive, helping dealers buy, sell dealerships. So thank you so much for taking the time in your busy schedule. And you are one busy young lady because every single, I think, organization says, please come speak to our group, right?
Well, Jim, I like the young lady part of that discussion. Yes. No,
well, I was at an event that you were actually, you were the host of the panel. You were the moderator. It was a great panel for the JD Power event on Thursday. So talk to us a little bit about that.
You know, it was an incredible panel. I mean, we had Rita Case, one of the top dealers in the country, especially on a volume basis per store. She just won Time Dealer of the Year.
That's right. That's right.
And just congratulations, Rita.
So deserving of it.
So deserving. Yeah. And Ryan Gee, one of the top dealers in the Northwest. Yeah. Ben Keating, top dealer in Texas. Yes. And then, of course, Howard Tannenbaum.
Yeah.
Of Keys Automotive Group.
Right.
And Howard was interesting because he had sold, and we represented him on selling a large chunk of his group, but he now still has 7 dealerships. So he could kind of speak to what it's like to go from bigger to smaller. And the whole premise of the panel was, do dealers need to get big to succeed? I mean, there's this drumbeat of consolidation.
Sure.
And is that a requirement that you have lots of stores? And I think really the thesis was not necessarily. And I think that the audience appreciated hearing that because there sometimes seems to be this feeling that I have to buy stores or I have to sell. And I really think it's much more nuanced than that. And I think the dealers appreciated hearing that.
That's right. That's right. You see somebody like so many of these big conglomerates out there that are buying these companies, whether it be Lithia, AutoNation, or what have you, and they'll buy these companies, these standalone Toyota stores for maybe a few $100 million because the store is doing so well, and it's the only store that person owned. So the mom and pops are still alive and well, and they got a lot of runway ahead of them.
Especially if you own Toyota stores, you could live with one Toyota store for a very long time.
Notice I chose Toyota as a franchise.
Yes. Now that being said, the valuations for those stores are generational changing in terms of the amount of money that we're fortunate to have several Toyota clients in top markets, and the numbers are mind-boggling. What our clients are receiving in terms of blue sky. However, this business model is not going anywhere, and really what we were poking holes at is the concept that by adding stores, you get economies of scale. In fact, if you look at the publics and the average public and the average private profitability on a net to sales basis pre-tax, they're pretty close in margin. So the average public owns 190 stores, the average private owns 2.
Right.
So show me the economies of scale in collecting dealerships.
And maybe it could be argued that person, that mom and pop, runs a much more efficient operation because they don't have layers of managers, or they don't have people that really don't have as much of a focus on that bottom line as maybe an owner-operator would. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And I think with technology, and you're here at NADA, and there's new technology all the time that that everyone has access to, that can make your business much more efficient. So while we certainly appreciate the opportunity at Kerrigan Advisors to represent our clients when they do decide the time is right to sell, we personally do not believe there is some requirement to sell. It's usually a very personal decision amongst family members. And frankly, it's usually succession that is really driving the decision more than anything else.
The idea that this may be the best time to sell your dealership, that we may never see values like this again. What's your take on that thesis?
That is a tough one because we obviously just went through a period of earnings that we may never see again. Not to say that we won't return to those numbers, but it will take some time. So,
or another pandemic that we don't want.
No, I really pray that doesn't drive it. So I do think we are in rarefied air in valuation.
Okay.
And interest rates could stay higher for longer, which will also eventually start to dampen valuation. Right now, we're in a period where dealers are sitting on so much cash because they've made record amounts of money, more than they made in a decade prior and during a whole decade.
Wow.
So the capital on the sidelines is they want to put it to work, and they want to put it to work in our amazing industry.
That's right. Something they know and they feel comfortable with.
Right. So they're not accessing the debt markets to acquire dealerships. At some point, they may need to when they're doing these big deals that are hundreds of millions of dollars. And so you could start seeing the impact of a higher cost of capital on valuation. We haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But it would defy all financial logic that we wouldn't eventually.
Sure. Do you see valuations rising or declining, over the course of the next year?
I expect they'll stay strong in 24.
Okay.
If you look at our dealer survey, our 5th annual dealer survey, in which we had over 650 dealers respond.
You'll get a real good feel for what's happening out there.
It is by far the most the most of any survey in the industry, including Automotive News, and in terms of the results that we get.
That's fantastic.
And that survey showed that roughly a quarter of dealers think valuations will go up this year. Roughly a quarter think they'll go down.
Okay.
And about 50% think they'll stay about the same. Now, my guess is those 50% aren't selling, so it doesn't really matter what their valuation is.
Sure.
We see the market kind of falling in that, though, where yes, if you have a weaker franchise in a weaker market, I won't call out franchises on this interview, but those ones are seeing a decline in value.
Okay.
If you have a strong franchise and if you're in a strong market, we're still seeing record valuations in Texas and Florida for Toyota stores. And then the middle, probably they're not selling anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Right.
Yeah, for sure. What are you finding? Are you getting a lot of phone calls right now with a lot of questions from dealers going, hey, we don't have anybody to take over the store in terms of our family? Is this the right time for us? And how long does that process take from the time they call you to the time that a sale actually happens?
These are really important family decisions. Most of our clients have had their businesses for multiple generations. So it is usually a process for them to get to that point where they feel, this is the right decision for our family.
Right.
It can be months, it can be years.
Really.
And we're whenever they're ready, we're ready to help them, but there's no rush. I think it's really important for everyone to be ready to have really thought through the process and know it's the right decision, and no one should rush into a sale process. We are having a lot of conversations right now. I think a lot of folks are saying, gosh, a couple things. I want to benefit from these values.
Sure.
They could go down. And I don't know what's going on with these EVs, but the fact of the matter is we've never really had a transition like this where truly the product we sell is it's still a car, but it's a very different car.
That's for sure. It's a computer.
It's going to require different fixed operations business. It's even look at how you price used EVs. That's a pretty volatile market, and
unbelievably,
right. And because you have a party in Tesla that isn't necessarily always doing what we see as rational in terms of just dropping their prices so quickly. So I think that's driving some families to say, this business model may not be my father's Oldsmobile, and I'm thinking I might exit.
Yeah. So before I let you get away from us here, in terms of the interest of certain franchises in certain markets, what's the most desired? What are you getting the call for? Is it still what we would think, the Porsche stores and the Toyota stores?
Well, it's all a risk reward too, right? So in the cost. So. Certainly, I think every dealer would love a Porsche franchise, and truly. I mean, but there is a cost to those.
That's incredible,
certainly, the luxury franchises are in high demand. There's so few of them, and luxury I mean, just look at LVMH. I mean, luxury in our country is doing tremendously well. Luxury car sales are outperforming the broader market.
Yep.
How long that lasts, we don't know. I always like to say, the folks that buy luxury make money off the folks. Usually, their business is supported by those that don't buy luxury. So if they can,
right.
So
this is true.
Eventually, it usually comes home to roost if the affordability issue continues. But what I would say is that certainly in our experience, Toyota is still
the strongest.
it's really in a category of its own.
Really?
And I say that in that, 72% of dealers we surveyed had a high level of trust in the franchise.
Yeah.
And the next closest franchise was in the 60%.
Oh my God.
60%.
Wasn't
they
even
were
close.
a step function higher.
Wow.
And then you have Ford. 48% of dealers surveyed had no trust.
Oh my gosh.
In the Ford franchise. So,
wow.
I really do think that Toyota is it's an incredibly strong franchise.
No question about it. Erin Kerrigan, founder and managing director of Kerrigan Advisors. This is a topic I could talk to you all day about. I'm just totally interested in it, and I know so many other dealers are as well. So thank you for giving us some time here at CBT News. It's always great catching up with you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks for watching the live coverage from the CBT News stage at the 2024 NADA Show.